And I think a lot of the reason why that is because I do see a path forward. And so it's harder for me to just trust that things will come on their own accord. Hello everybody and welcome. Today I wanted to talk about intention, or to look at it another way, decision. So I've been studying reality transurfing, as I've mentioned in a couple of the other videos I did recently, and it's very interesting. I mean, this is like the third time I've read it, and it probably will not be the last. I continue to reread it and find new nuggets of information hidden inside. Along with, other teachers and whatnot that I have, so it's not exactly an uncommon occurrence for me, being exposed to the same information multiple times and then getting something new out of it. So it's definitely been interesting, and I'm excited to see what the future holds in regards to my education and understanding and mental elevation and whatnot. But right now, what I'm going to talk about is this concept of intention and decision in regards to manifesting reality and creating the kind of life that you want. And this topic is always kind of challenging because you can't really approach it from a logical perspective, and so I'm trying to explain a concept that's intuitive in a logical, rational way so that other people can kind of understand the concept, start implementing, and then start to recognize the intuitive knowledge as well. So that's always a bit of a challenge that I have, and that's one of the reasons why my YouTube channel sometimes seems like it's all over the place, at least to me, because I'm trying to express this simple knowledge that I have intuitively to people who don't necessarily understand it in the same way that I do. And while I can explain it in a simple way, the simple explanation is still going to require faith. So I'm trying to work in the logic and work in the rationale and the reasoning so that you don't have to just trust me. You can test these things for yourself, and you can get some bits of belief so that you can actually start to utilize the belief structures that help you achieve these particular things and move forward in the directions that you want to go in. So, it's not an easy project to do, as I'm sure pretty much any teacher of any category related to this would probably tell you. For most of us, we're trying to rationally and logically explain things that we've learned through intuition, through gut and instinct. So you're translating one side of the brain with another, trying to figure out, how the two relate. And while you can at times, it's not always easy. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, trying to figure out how to explain this stuff as best I can. So in reality transurfing, one of the things that the author discusses is this concept of importance, where in most manifestation techniques, there's this concept of you need a strong desire in order to get something. You have to really want it and then believe that it'll come and it will, which, according to this author, actually creates excess potential, is what he calls it, and requires balancing forces to come in and kind of smack you down, or to rebalance the energy that you have created in excess. And personally, I think that this is probably a more accurate version of what actually happens, because whenever you have a strong desire, it's usually coupled with severe doubts, which is why it's such a challenge to get yourself to believe that it's possible that this can be created, and why it's a challenge for you to maintain a positive attitude and emotional state when you're pursuing a particular desire. It's also why, for so many of us, focusing on desire for a really long time doesn't actually manifest in reality, because we're focused so hard on achieving it that we can no longer allow it in our lives. We've put up too much resistance by the sheer force of our desire. So when he talks about importance, he talks about how we need to reduce importance. And one of the best ways to reduce importance is to transition something from a belief or faith to knowledge. Because when you have knowledge, there is no longer doubt, there is just certainty. And this particular kind of certainty is what really manifests things. This is what he calls intention. And intention is a challenging topic to define in the first place, because intention is not something you can explain, really. I mean, you intend to move your arm and you do. There's no thought behind it, you just act. There's no forethought necessarily. I mean, there can be forethought, but the actual act, the actual raising of the arm is not something that you think about doing, you just do it. And this is what he describes as intention, where desire is saying, I want to raise my arm, and intention is actually raising your arm. So when he talks about reducing importance, he's saying, transition your desire into intention, and from there, whatever it is that you want, you're going to get. And that's really challenging to do because we don't even know how intention works, and neither does he. I mean, none of us really gets this whole intention thing. But one of the concepts that he does talk about is this concept of inner intention and outer intention, or something like that, where you have this inner intention, which is, I will do anything to achieve this goal. And then you have outer intention, which is the decision, essentially saying, I will have this. And oftentimes I think that these two sound very similar to us, but the way he describes it is inner intention is you doing what you can to manifest whatever it is that you want, versus outer intention is inviting the world or the alternative space, which is kind of what he describes as parallel universes and alternate timelines and things like this. You're programming the alternate space to shift around you to include whatever it is that you're looking for. So if you want $1 million or something like this, and you focus, and I don't actually think money is a great goal, but it is usually a common one for us to have. So if you want, say, $1 million, then instead of saying, I will find a way to make this happen, you instead say, I will have this, and then you let go of the desire and you allow the alternative space to shift around you so that you are transferred to a timeline with $1 million. How this works exactly, I have no idea. But my gut, my instinct tells me this is absolutely true. How you go about actually implementing it is the challenge. This whole intention concept is so weird in so many ways. But one of the things that I realized through reading this information and recognizing its validity a little bit more in my life was that probably my number one favorite teacher of all time, which is Abraham Hicks, does a similar concept where she talks about how all you need to do is ask, then the universe gives it, and now your job is to receive it, which means you have to release all resistance, you have to release all the strong negative emotions, but that also includes releasing, to a certain degree, positive emotions, like really strong positive emotions. But what they mean by really strong positive emotions is like a firm, forced focus on positivity, rather than allowing yourself to just be happy, in love, in gratitude, or whatever the case may be. So it's not necessarily about getting rid of all your positive emotions either. It's more about settling into a more positive base resonance level. Raising your emotional vibration to a higher register so that you settle back down into peace or love or gratitude, rather than trying to force yourself to stay in a high vibration despite the fact that you feel like you're never going to get what you want. So Yeah. This is a confusing topic, to be sure. So, when it comes to any particular desire, I mean, it's really about just choosing what it is that you want. You know, like one of the things that I've decided I will have is my soulmate in my life at some point very soon. I have set the intention that I will get married within like 2 years to my soulmate. Um, and because there are 7 billion people on the planet, and because of my understanding of inevitability, to me, there is very little doubt around this. You know, I feel like if this is something I want, I can definitely find it because I am there for a match to that desire, and it's basically inevitable that this person will come into my life as I want them to. So I don't feel like I need to focus on it and like force it to happen any further. And part of that is because I have no idea how you would go about making that happen. You know, like relationships to me always seem to be something that's like either predestined or chance or luck. I don't really know. I mean, the right people seem to come into your life at the right time. There doesn't seem to be a way to force that to happen. So, you know, this is a perfect example of how outer intention works to me, because I just trust. You know, I just know that it's inevitable that this will happen. So I allow the world to work for me rather than me trying to force it. So in this particular avenue of life, it's a lot easier for me to work with outer intention because I'm okay if this person doesn't come into my life, and I'm okay if they do. I have chosen that they will, and therefore they will because they have to. You know, I have set that thing. You know, I've made that decision. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. You know, now it will happen. When it will happen, I don't know. But I know that it will happen. And I can't explain that knowing. You know, I can't explain that decision and that feeling of certainty that I have. But that's essentially what outer intention is that feeling of certainty and knowing rather than belief and expectation. Where you believe it, you want it, and you think you can get it. This one is more along the lines of, I've decided that's what I want, and therefore I'll get it. And the world's going to bring it to me. So that's kind of the difference between outer and inner intention. When it comes to money, I think a harder time with outer intention because there are some obvious avenues for like things you can do that will help you achieve whatever this financial goal is you have. Same with being a teacher on YouTube. You know, making videos seems like a really obvious path for how to get there. So while I do think it'd be better for me to transition these things to outer intention, there's a lot of inner intention going on too. And with the inner intention, I struggle with the self-doubt and, you know, all of these negative emotions and this concept of, well, maybe I won't get it, and thinking about how much it sucks if I won't, and all these other things. So I create a lot of conflicting energies there. And I think a lot of the reason why that is because I do see a path forward. And so it's harder for me to just trust that things will come on their own accord. But through studying this outer intention stuff, I definitely think I'm closer to that kind of concept. And I'm definitely going to work more with this concept of outer intention more often. I think I'm going to study it more for sure. There's not really a source that I can study this with, so mostly I'm probably just going to keep listening to this book over and over again until I kind of get a better understanding of it. But all the teachers I have in some ways or another express this idea, but you have to understand it on a soul level or like an intuitive level. You can't know it with just your head. You have to feel it. So that's where this is so challenging, because I can tell you what I understand of it consciously. I can understand, or I can teach you what I've come to understand as far as the logic and the reason of this concept goes. But when it comes to actually implementing, when it comes to actually setting outer intention, all these other things, it comes down to you and your belief structures and all these other things. And the foundation that I have behind these concepts is so unique to me, and I wish I could just like explain everything that I've gone through, you know, and all the lessons I've learned, but they're just so ingrained in me that I have no idea. I don't remember where I started. You know, this is all just stuff that came to me and shifted my knowing over long periods of time with short little spurts of inspiration. So it's a challenge. And I'm sure we'll get there. I'm sure that at some point, if you watched like all my videos or something like this, you would get a pretty clear understanding of what it is that I've learned through my life and my experiences. But even if you know everything that's happened in my life, it's not going to be until you have your own experiences with these concepts that you're really going to get the kind of understanding that you want. So I think that's all that I'm going to say today. I might do another video on outer intention tomorrow, or, you know, go into another topic then instead. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow. But yes, so if you like this video, make sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so that you are notified when new videos of mine are posted. And then if you have any questions, comments, or have better understanding of this outer intention, intention in general, or desire concepts, feel free to leave those in the comment section. Getting a discussion going around this topic would be super cool, I think. So yeah, definitely do that if you have anything to say, and I will talk to you again soon. So thanks for watching. Bye.